post questions in the chat.
Thanks, Pilisa. A very warm welcome to you today. Where are you dialing in from?
I'm based in Durban, Nikki.
You're based in Durban. Okay,
yeah.
okay. Pilisa, what do you think of the recent changes? I think it's going to kill Vanessa, who's on the screen, one of our staff. But what do you think of the recent changes CIMA has undergone?
Nikki, I've seen that CIMA and AICPA now share a website, which is brand new. I also see that the exemption process has changed and the registration process also changed. Personally, I find the new AICPA and CIMA website quite tricky to navigate, and there appears to be a problem with the migration of existing students' data. Can you help me understand everything?
I know, Pilisa, it is that migration is causing a lot of pain. But yes, the long and the short of it is I can explain everything, which is what I'm going to do. One of my key skills, which, as you get older, you understand what you're really good at. I'm really good. I love taking a lot of complex information and simplifying it. The latest changes to the CIMA website, the exemption and registration process has really frustrated many students and many of the IBTC staff. But we really work hard at it and make sure we're on top of it so the students can just focus on their studies. I want to kick off with a poll to see who we have in the audience today, just so that we can direct what we are saying. If there's nobody for certificate level, for instance, we can skip that part, or I don't want to skimp over sections. That's when a lot of people in the audience are keen on that. So do we have a handy person in marketing who can bring up the poll for me? Probably thought I was going to do it myself. Let me see. I can poll. Yes, launch poll. Great. Okay. I'm failed to start poll. Somebody else started it already. Do you have a poll in front of you?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Want to know, where are you on your CIMA journey? Great. If it's ready, we can share that. I just want to see who is on that, who's in the audience. Someone sharing? No, can I see if I can share the poll results?
Nikki, it looks as though we've got 77% of people have not registered. They've just started. They haven't even registered yet.
Just started.
77%.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite kind, because it's people who are probably thinking, should I do this? Should I do that? What is the value of CIMA? Is it a good place to spend my time and my money? Pilisa, now that we're busy with the poll, it reminds me of a poll we recently did with our student community. We wanted to just understand what is important to students and the top things that we didn't just do IBTC students, we did the whole, everybody, the bigger community. We wanted to understand top things that people look for when choosing a college. And the results came back. And what's most important to students, let me just tell you, what was in the first place is, can you guess? Student support. So most important thing is student support. After that, it's accreditation. I think in South Africa, that always comes up quite high because people want to know that you're accredited. And the third place is results. People want to know what the college pass rate is. And the fourth most important things to students in general is the quality of the material and the tuition. Does this resonate with you, Pilisa? Are you surprised to see what's important to students?
I'm not surprised at all, Nikki. It is indeed a psychological journey as well. When a student chooses to sign up with a college, they do so specifically because they want someone to help them properly. Often students feel like they can do it on their own and save money. A lot of students in my class felt this way, but then they struggled to pass. Then they found that partnering with experts helped them to cut down on study time and gives them the support to stay on track.
And the accreditation is obviously also a concern to students in South Africa, as I mentioned, due to the many fly-by-night colleges. You don't want to sign up with a college who's busy closing down and then runs away with your money. I don't know how much of that is still happening, but at some point it was quite prolific.
And we know that one thing that students really care about is a pass, right?
Yes, yes. And, you know, there are two things that we do differently at IBTC to what anybody else is doing in South Africa. We have partnered with BPP in the UK. They are a CIMA, they're a global CIMA tuition provider who works closely with CIMA. And we have the exclusive license to use their resources in our courses. And through our partnership with them, we are then able to buy in world-class resources. We always say when you study a global qualification, you should have access to global expertise. So nobody else has that with a UK tuition provider. So we bring in that global resources, world-class resources. The other thing that makes us different is our values, but in particular, a remarkable service, our focus on hand-holding. So it's the care and the support we give students that underpins our good pass rate.
Yep. Nikki, I think I should share this slide with you. We know that CIMA recommends Kaplan material, but we went against the grain and we're exclusively using BPP material. And that's because we simply get better pass rates with BPP, right? So here we're going to compare the global pass rates of CIMA against the pass rates achieved by all students who use BPP resources. This includes IBTC students. Traditionally, BA2 and P1 are known as very tricky subjects. And you can see how students perform. 20% better on BA2 and P1 than the global average. And you can see why we consider ourselves to be the case study experts. A whopping 92% pass rate and strategic level, and on average, our case study performance tends to be between 10 and 30% better than the global average.
Oh, wow. Did you know you are 48% more likely to pass with BPP and IBTC, or with IBTC using BPP resources? Yes.
I didn't know that, yeah.
Yeah, 48% more likely. It's real. Pilisa, do you think CIMA is for everyone?
You know, Nikki.
Oh, somebody's going to. Yes, you can go.
Yeah, so, you know, Nikki, often students are wondering if they should do their honors next or do CIMA or an MBA. They want to be sure that CIMA is the right career choice for them. The truth is CIMA isn't for everybody. If you think about it, CIMA combines business and finance more like an MBA and psych rolled into one. Generally, the rule I follow is that if you like tax and auditing, then CIMA is not for you. But if you enjoy business, performance, looking at costs, then it could be the right decision for you. A large part of financial accounting is about looking back, dealing with things that have happened in the past, whereas management accounting is about looking forward, dealing with budgets, looking at focus, pricing, future risk, and strategy.
Another reason, Pilisa, to study CIMA is also that it's a professional qualification. You get a designation, CGMA, behind your name, versus an academic qualification, which you'll typically study at a university, where you're awarded a diploma or a degree, but it doesn't give you a designation. I really strongly feel that a professional qualification offers you more opportunities and better value for money spent on studying.
Yes, Nikki. Also, CIMA is a well-respected and well-known qualification across the globe. You can work around the world or right here for a global company. It's a very portable qualification. In fact, 95% of the world's top brands employ CGMAs. This means that you become immensely employable.
You do, hey? Pilisa, I think this competency framework is a very good illustration of what you will learn on your CIMA qualification. And here you can see there isn't just a focus on technical skills. There's also a focus on people skills, on business skills, and on leadership skills, also digital skills. This is all underpinned by a bit of ethics, as I like to say. This competency framework is the foundation for your coursework. and the foundation for your exam, which is handy to know. And it just shows that it is a well-rounded qualification. You don't just learn technical accounting or cost and management skills.
That's true, Nikki. I think to sum it up, why I like CIMA is that CIMA is where business meets finance. It's a finance qualification and it's a business qualification. It's like CA being, with an MBA, which means you are competent in a lot of areas and you can play a multitude of roles within a company.
On that point, here are some roles.
So
Thanks
if
for
we
the
have a
flag.
good look at some of the examples, for example, so you see here, these are roles that you can play as a CGMA. You see the C-suite roles, but also the non-financial roles, even marketing manager and strategic planning manager. And you can see the finance roles, from finance analyst to a financial controller. And then, of course, there's a consulting roles.
Did you know my previous boss was a CGMA, just to derail the presentation a bit. And he started out as an accountant where I worked. And then he became the CFO, became the accountant. Wait, he started off as the admin account. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, he was the accountant, then he became the CFO. Then somebody left in operations and he said, oh, I'll take operations under my wing, massive operations. Then he moved to the marketing department when the lady went on maternity leave, and he said, I will look after the marketing department for you while you go. Then he headed up the new business side of the business, which took him into Africa. And then he returned to South Africa as the CEO. And that's really a full journey on the back of his CGMA designation.
Wow, Nikki, that's very impressive.
It is, eh?
Yeah. I think if we look at obviously the salary, of course, I think that's mostly why most of the people pursue the qualification. I think if you look at CIMA's annual salary survey, it reveals that CGMAs in South Africa earn on average about 484,000 Rand per annum. And I know that some students in my E2 class who are earning around 35,000 per month, and they aren't even fully qualified yet. If you're in Britain, you'll earn around 63,000 pounds, which is roughly 1.2 million. And this is according to a real CIMA survey recently conducted.
That's quite a lot, eh? Did you know that the average basic salary for CIMA students in South Africa is 13% higher than the national average salary for similar positions?
Oh, that's interesting. Nikki, before we delve deep into the CIMA syllabus, could you walk me through the recent changes that CIMA has undergone?
Okay, fantastic. I will do that. I prepared a slide on that. I'll do this slide. I don't know how much of it matters to people who are completely new, but I think it is nice to know what has recently changed in case you encounter it. CIMA has been very busy lately, and the recent changes, if I had to sum it up, would be, as Pilisa said, the introduction of a new website. It's where CIMA, and I don't know if you know that AICPA, which covers most of the Americas, and CIMA that covers most of the East and Europe and Africa have joined forces because they want the CGMA designation to be the most sought after designation in business. So we've got that whole American backing and the Chinese backing. And as a result of that, the AICPA and CIMA joined forces to globally promote management accounting in business. And that, so that resulted to a new website. In case you're wondering. Then they also at the same time introduced a new back-end student management system. And then of course the new website, and all of that came with some teething problems, which is what we're experiencing now, but we can navigate you through. Then another thing that changed was the introduction of FLP. FLP is an alternative study route to obtaining your CGMA designation. It stands next to the original study route, which was called PQ, or the Professional Qualification. So those two routes exist, just so that you know. The new PQ, the new FLP route requires you to only do 3 exams. So we like to say you are 3 exams away from being a CGMA. Then you might or might not know that FLP was only available for people with degrees. So you had to start at ops man or strat level. You couldn't start at the certificate level, but this has now changed. Now anybody can do FLP. Then there was the FLP sales block and unblocking. So that happened. We've got the thumbs up now from the regulator that FLP can be sold in South Africa. And finally, there's the new approach to exemptions. Also, what has changed here is previously the exemptions you got on FLP route was slightly different to the exemptions you got on the PQ route, but now they're all the same. You can now seamlessly move from PQ to FLP. Oh, I don't like FLP. You can move back to PQ. So as I said, if you're new to CIMA, most of these won't impact you at all, although you might sense some frustration with providers and other students when they're struggling to navigate through all these changes. Pilisa, are you glad you've already qualified and you don't have to deal with these changes?
Oh, Nikki. Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. So let's look at the CIMA qualification. Okay, let me just grab a drawing tool here. I like to draw. The entry route to the professional qualification is an open entry certificate level. The professional qualification really starts here, and it consists of 3 levels and 3. Oh, sorry, no, I accidentally cleared all my drawings. And 3 pillars, 3 levels and 3 pillars. What is so nice about that for me, well, I think this is so clever, that at each level you get a qualification, but your qualification will then also always be an integration of an E, P, and F subject. E is the enterprise pillar, it is the business subject. P is performance pillar, it's the heart of the qualification, and F is the finance pillar. So in the enterprise pillar, we look at things like business models, we look at managing people. Oh, I've got a person here. Look at managing people and projects, and this is in this pillar where strategy is formulated. Then we go to the performance pillar over here. You will use your management accounting and risk management skills from this pillar to ensure that the strategy that was developed in E, that it's realistic, and this is where you monitor its implementation. Here we deal with things like costs, budgets, pricing, capital expenditure, managing performance. In this pillar, really, you can see it all ends in risk. So this is so important. So it's in this pillar where you learn to identify risk. You can see the risk, then you can classify it, then you can evaluate it. Oh, how I don't know how how risky is that risk, the risk level of that risk, and then you figure out how to manage that risk. I like that there's always one sure strategy to manage risk, and that's risk avoidance. Okay, then we're going to, this is the financial pillar. In the financial pillar, we focus on traditional financial accounting and the reporting obligations of the company. So it includes things like the regulatory framework and external reporting requirements of the company, the ability to construct and evaluate complex financial statements so that you can show the financial position and the performance of the organization. In here, this pillar, we deal with tax, business tax implications of financing decisions. And here somebody is trying to record, Linnell is trying to record this meeting, but we are recording it and we will send it out to everybody. In fact, there's also, after the session, you can go onto a CIMA Experience website where we've got all the recordings, and it's nicely some extras, how to win at case study and look at what the portal looks like. So we will send you all the recordings of this session, and we will send you the link to that website where you can go and watch this session broken up, and some other videos which will help you. Lots of stuff. But Linnell, welcome. Like that you like what you're seeing. Okay, so financial pillar. The financial pillar, we said, is financial accounting and reporting obligations, and we deal with tax, and it's here where you assess the risk that was identified in the performance pillar. So it's quite nice how it integrates. The performance pillar is where you evaluate and monitor the strategy, and in finance pillar, it's where you manage and assess the risk that was identified in the performance pillar. Okay, it's all very interesting stuff. Pilisa, can you maybe talk us through each of these subjects a bit very quickly? just so people know who are new, what do I expect in each of these BA or EBF subjects?
Thanks, Nikki. So, guys, what Nikki's just explained to you is looking at the pillars in terms of a vertical structure. So what we're going to do is look at each subject. And where I'm really going to start is at the bottom of the picture you're seeing there. So you've got BA1, where you will deal with macro and microeconomics. Then you move on to BA2, which deals with costing, planning, control. It's really the introduction of management accounting, product costing, basically. At BA3, that's where you start recording financial transactions, preparing basic financial accounts, doing financial analysis. Here it is assumed that you have very limited financial background. Then BA4 deals with company administration, so things like corporate social initiatives, legal matters, things like employment contracts, and basically how companies are governed and administered. Once you pass all of these subjects, you'll get a certificate in business, which is equivalent to an NQF level 5 in South Africa. Then you move on to what we call the professional level. Here you'll see that we've got E1, that covers big data, for example, shared services in the traditional business functions like your sales, marketing, HR, operations, and IT. On P1, you'll cover, basically you start to really get into it now. You're dealing with things like manufacturing, marginal costing, absorption costing, dealing with budgets, pricing, break-even analysis, and probability distributions. F1, you start to look at things like cash flow, inventory days, payables, receivables, tax, preparing financial statements. Once you pass all of these subjects, then you will be allowed to write the CIMA case study, or what we call the CIMA operational case study. Once you pass your CIMA operational case study, then you get awarded your basically you get awarded your CIMA diploma in management accounting. Yeah. If we move on to the second level, which is the management level, here you'll see that we got E2, which covers things like business models, project management, managing people, like Nikki has said, looking at things like health and safety and negotiation strategies. At P2, you'll deal with managing costs, looking at things like activity-based management, just-in-time, looking at key performance indicators, things like liquidity ratios, profitability and return on investment. In F2, you'll deal with preparation of group accounts, really applying the international accounting standards, dealing with integrated reporting. Once you pass E2, F2, and P2, you'll then be allowed into the management case study. Once you pass your management case study, once you pass your management case study, you'll get then the CIMA Advanced Diploma in Management Accounting. And finally, the strategic level. Here, you're starting to think like a CFO. You'll be exposed to subjects like E3, which covers topics like the Pastel models, the SWOT model, looking at product and market metrics, the company's purpose, vision, value, and so forth. At P3, you do a lot of risk, like Nikki was sharing earlier on, talking about risk maps, risk control, things like cyber risk and strategic risk, for example, hedging. If you start looking at F3, here we're looking at how to fund the business, what becomes a combination of long-term finance and obviously equity. So you look at sources of long-term finance, mergers, acquisitions, and the like. On completion of your final case study, which is obviously a strategic case study, you then obviously will be awarded you'll have to do the PER, which we call the practical experience, which we're going to chat about a bit later. Once you completed your PER or your practical experience review, you then you'll be allowed to use designation ACMA and CGMA. Yeah. Nikki? Yeah.
Yes.
Are there different routes to completing the CIMA qualification?
There are, Pilisa. Like I said earlier, there's PQ and FLP. I see Mbulelo's got his hand up. Mbulelo, do you can ask a question in the chat, or afterwards you can unmute. Okay, I am just going to see if I can go through to different entry routes. Okay, so this is where we start digging into how the qualification works. Okay, so there are two routes, as I mentioned. Sorry, if everybody can just mute for me. Mute, okay, I've got that. Okay, So there are two routes, the traditional PQ route and the new FLP route, if you like. Okay, so the PQ route stands for Professional Qualification. It's also known as the traditional or the standard way of doing it. What is nice about the FLP route is that it is flexible and you can do it at your own pace. You have to work through all, is it 13, 6, 9? Anyway, you have to work through, now I question myself. You have to work through all these subjects. You have to study a subject, write the exam. You have to study the subject, you write an exam. You study a subject, you write an exam. Study a subject, write an exam. Okay, so you have to write an exam for each of these subjects. So it's 13 competency-based exams and then 3 case study exams. I believe, I don't know if it's changed, but you have 10 years to complete this qualification, and a lot of people like to do it 1 or 2 subjects at a time. On the FLP route, you don't have to sit exams for EP and F or BA or any of the BA subjects. Isn't that amazing? Okay, on FLP, you don't have to sit exams for EP and F, but you do continuous assessment. So you answer questions throughout your studies to prove your competence, and you only have to sit the 3 case study exams. On the PQ route, how do you prepare for your exam? You can prepare any way you want. You can beg, steal, or borrow a book. You can do it on your own, use a friend's book. You can join your own personal study group. You can join a college. You can attend classes. You can study online. You can do a hybrid. It's really up to you how you prepare for the exam. But on the FLP route, you must enroll, I'm going to try and underline it, you must enroll on the FLP platform. You cannot study on your own using textbooks and then just sit the exam. You have to sign up for the FLP platform through a tuition provider, and then you complete on that platform these subjects, the EP and F subjects. On that platform, you will get all your study material you need for each of these subjects, and interspersed in that study material is your assessment questions, if you like. You also on that platform find your case study prep material on that platform. Okay, so on the PQ route, you can buy 1 or 2 subjects at a time, as I said, and you can, sorry, my mouse is very slippery. Just quickly see if it helps. Write properly. Okay, see if this helps. Okay, so let's see if I can write subjects. You can do 1 or 2 subjects at a time on the PQ route. You buy your next subject once you've passed your previous subject. It's a little bit as a pay-as-you-go arrangement, and it works really well for people who are studying full-time or who really can't commit to just a non-gap year of studying. On the FLP route, you pay for time. Okay, the FLP route is a subscription model. So imagine they have a platform where you've got all of these books and all of the exam tokens and registration for the exam fee. Everything is on this platform, and you pay for, this is my watch, it's a very bad watch. You pay for time onto this platform. So it's a subscription model. You can pay for access to all the study material across all the levels, and you have to study as much as you can in the time you bought. If you bought a 1-year subscription, you must be dedicated and try and race through as many subjects as possible. FLP sounds very appealing, but it's a very big upfront cost, and it's a big commitment. It's a cost commitment, and it is a time commitment. While with PQ, it's more pay as you go, and you can to some extent fit it more into a balanced work lifestyle, if you like. It depends on where you are in your life. If you can commit to a period in which you're just going to hit it hard, then FLP could be the route for you. On the PQ route, because you have to write an exam for each subject, I feel you get a lot more into the detail of the subject. So you learn more. And it is probably because there is an exam. Because you know your subject content so well, your EP and F, your case study tends to be a little bit easier. okay, because you've done exams for EP and F. On FLP, you don't write exams for the EP and F. So the risk is always when you get to your case study exam that you're not as well prepared to start our exam prep classes for case study because you just don't have that same foundation, if you like. So chances are you'll battle when it comes to the case study. But what is important to remember, whether you do the PQ route or the FLP route, you all come together. Oh, I draw that wrong. You all come together at the case study. Everybody writes the same case study. This is just different ways of preparing for that case study. Now I've made a nice hash of this slide.
Nikki, I was
yes.
under the impression that FLP is on hold.
Yes, some more complexity, Pilisa. It was on hold because the local regulator wanted to understand FLP. But then FLP got the thumbs up from SAQA and it can now be sold in South Africa. However, because of the system change at CIMA, remember they changed the back-end system, they are not yet able to enroll SA students on FLP. It's such a drag. Students, you can all look out for an announcement from us because we will inform you the moment the FLP gates are open again. What to do in the meantime, you can either choose the PQ route if you're set on the FLP route. Some students are okay to wait until the FLP course sales resume in South Africa, while others choose not to wait, but they want to study in the meantime. We are providing those students with free resources. So the benefit of that is, from my perspective, is that you can study all the content beforehand, and then when the FLP gates open, you quickly go to your subject. Wait, now I want to draw again. You quickly go to that subject, you read through everything, you do all the continuous assessment, you quickly move on to the next one because you've actually already got that knowledge. And then you can fast track and get to your case study easier. You're still in your 12-month subscription if you bought a year, and you can quickly move on because you have prepared. I just feel like you can then make the most of your FLP subscription time and run through those EP and F assessments faster. I hope that makes sense. So we, Vanessa can tell you more about it, but we call it the early FLP early enrollment. So you enroll with us, pay a small deposit just so that we know you're going to buy FLP when the moment sales open, and we provide you with a bunch of free resources so you can hit the book so long. I think that's quite a nice way to maybe buy less subscription time and study offline first. Pilisa, question of the day, which do you prefer, PQ or the new FLP route?
Well, Nikki, what I like about FLP is that there are fewer exams, and it feels like you'll be qualified faster.
Yes, totally. Everybody loves that.
Yeah. But what I like about the traditional route is that there's more rigor. I think if you're doing this qualification, you're doing so to pick up skills, to learn more and work better. With PQ, I believe you'll learn more and your work performance will be better.
Yeah, you know, I totally agree with you. You have to take those skills into the rest of your career. You're not taking the only the designation. You literally want to know more and work better. But with each route, there's pressure points, hey? I think with FLP, the pressure point is at the case study exam because of the risk of not being as familiar with the EP and F subjects as one should be. And with the traditional route or the PQ route, the case study exam should be a lot easier for you. But the pressure points obviously are the objective tests exams, which you have to pass first. It's a personal decision which route is best for you, right?
Yeah, that's right, Nikki. And a financial decision, of course, because PQ is a bit lighter on the pocket, and you can also do it in small chunks, whereas like one subject at a time, whereas in the FLB, it is a big front capital layout.
That's right, eh? I think I'm going to talk about exemptions now, and this is usually the point where the audience goes mad, where the audience comes alive. A lot of people want to know about their exemptions. You're welcome to put in the chat or just listen through. Maybe I want to ask you just listen through how the exemptions work. The one thing I want to tell you that if you choose the PQ route or the FLP route, both routes start at certificate level. Okay, everything starts at certificate level unless you successfully apply for exemptions. How does exemptions work? I mentioned that the exemption process has changed and exemptions are now awarded based on 3 criteria. So I really hope anybody who knows of the previous method, please pay attention now. You can be awarded exemptions based on your professional qualification. Your professional qualification is typically membership with CICA, CIPA, ICB, or ACCA. It's your membership with professional bodies and your qualification, then underlying qualification with that professional body. You can apply for exemption with your educational qualification. This is exemptions based on your diploma or your degree. And you can apply for exemptions with your experience and role, and this is called the elite program. Okay, so far, not too bad. Okay, exemptions based on your professional qualification is where you apply for exemptions based on your membership with CICA, CIBA, ICB, and ACCA, for instance. Just note that if you're going on the FLP route, that not all professional bodies are loaded at this point, but they are working on it. So if you, which one did we have the other day, Vanessa? The Chartered Institute of Secretaries, it's not loaded on there, but then you tell us, we tell America, they put it on, and in a couple of days you can then register and your institute will show. Exemptions based on educational qualification is where you apply for exemptions based on your diploma and degree. From maximum exemption, it's handy if your diploma or degree is not more than 7 years old. Okay, 7 years. What happens if it is more than 7 years old? I will tell you. So what they now do, a great new addition that CIMA has done is that you can get additional exemption to your educational qualification based on your years of finance and accounting experience. Okay, so let me just explain what this means. If you have a BCom, just an ordinary BCom. I'm trying to write, guys, BCom. You will likely start at operational level. Okay, you'll start at ops level, which is, yeah. Cool. If you hold a BCom accounting and finance qualification, BCom finance and account, anything that says finance and accounting, you will probably start at management level. Okay, so you will start over here. If your qualification is older than 7 years, so let's just try and do this. You've got BCom and it is not 7 years, then you start at ops level, okay? If you've got a BCom and it is more than 7 years, then you start at certificate level. You start saying, if you've got a BCom and it is older than 7 years, but you have 4 or more years accounting and finance experience, you are then bumped back up to operational level. Hopefully everybody understood what I was trying to explain. Okay, so that is all the educational and how 7 years and the work experience plays a role here. Then the third way to get exemption is based on your experience and your level. And here your exemption is based on your level at the company and experience in finance and accounting arena. The elite program is an expedited pathway based on your level of experience. So firstly, the elite, they call it all the elite programs, but there are actually 3. Let's do this. Okay, so one is the elite academic program. Elite academic program. If you have a PhD in accounting or business and more than 6 years teaching or research experience, you can do the elite academic program and you just have to complete the strategic level. Okay, elite PhD. Okay. The second way is the senior executive program. Senior executive program. If you're a senior manager with more than 6 years experience in accounting, finance, and business, you are eligible for the senior executive program and you will start at management case study. At management case study. Okay. Finally, the CFO program, which you're probably all quite familiar with. This is for CFOs, CEOs, executives with more than 10 years experience in accounting, finance, and business. On the CFO program, you only have to complete the strategic case study. You go straight to there. Okay, so these are all based on experience and role. You can join any of these programs. There are other pathways that you might be familiar with. You might think, what happened to this gateway? What happened to that one? All the other things, CSEP and things they had. What happens to the pathways that existed before the new exemption process has taken place? CIMA SA will assess your application on a case-by-case basis and may or may not award you those old pathways.
Yeah, Nikki, thank you for that. I think, like you said, this is the most exciting part of the presentation. I can see it by the chat, and our team is busy responding to the questions. So a word of warning, guys, if you have been exempted from a subject, CIMA assumes that your knowledge is good enough of that subject, that to have passed it, that the subject and you understand the content in the way that CIMA has presented it. So before you accept all your exemptions, our advice is to go through the syllabus document and highlight areas that you don't feel comfortable with. If it's between 40 and 50% that you are basically comfortable with, we suggest then you can take or if it's 40 to 50% that you're not comfortable with, right? So we suggest you don't take the exemption. Rather spend the time recapping that subject. Also, your case study exam requires thorough knowledge of the E, the P, and the F subject. So make sure that there are no knowledge gaps. We recommend that you recap these subjects before starting your case study preparation. Our gateway courses are designed for students who are exempted from the E, the P, and the F pillar, as Nikki explained earlier. However, we include those subjects in your study material to help you, obviously, with the recapping. Now, it is important to note that when you apply for exemptions, that the new website is a guide only. Ultimately, your exemptions have to be approved by the South African CIMA team, but I do find that 95% of the time, the website is correct in terms of the recommendation, in terms of where you could potentially start.
Okay, so you're a new student and you want to register with CIMA. You want that, what was it, 1.2 million rand you can earn in the UK? You want to register with CIMA. So to register with CIMA as a student, you first have to create a profile or a login on the new website. So your first job is to register an account, register yourself, create a login on the CIMA global website. The next step will be to now register as a new student. This part is a bit tricky as it's easy to make the incorrect selections, resulting in you starting in the wrong level. So we've done a lot of tests. We say somebody had a BCom and it's more than 7 years. Then they said they had so much experience. Now, what weight does the experience get over the... So we know exactly how to do that part. The tricky thing is if you don't, did you know that you don't have to submit your proof of qualifications anymore when you register? What CIMA does is they will randomly audit you. You may be selected for an audit and it says, okay, so you said you've got a BCom in finance that's not older than 7 years. Can you show it to me, please? And if you then can't produce it or you incorrectly applied for your exemptions and started studying at the wrong level, then they may kick you off. If they deem it fraudulent, you will never be allowed to study CIMA, become a CGMA, because of that ethics that's underpinned in their competency framework. Okay, so it's easy to make an incorrect selection, which could result in you starting on the wrong level, which means you may be disqualified if CIMA does an audit on you. We will cover how to register as a new student on Monday night's breakaway session, 6 to 7. We will demo it in the session so that you can see what information you need to have handy before you start the online process. A big thing that has changed, for those who know how the previous system worked, when you register as a new student, you just pay your registration fees, maybe your exemption fees, but you're now required to add exam fees for one subject, either BA1 if you're at certificate level or an E subject. This is really to encourage you to sit your exam and just get on with it. CIMA realized that there's so many people who start and just never make it to the exam, so it's a bit of an exam encouragement. The exam token that you've purchased will only be valid for 1 year. In fact, all exam fees are now valid for 1 year, as opposed to the previously it was valid for 2 years.
Wow, Nikki, this is very complicated and a lot to remember.
I know, it's the areas where students struggle the most. But at IBTC, we offer a CIMA Assist service, because what we do is we try and figure everything out, and then we just help students. So we can do it all on your behalf, or we can guide you through it. So you can simply email us at info@ibtc.co.za, and you can just ask for help. So please help me. I want to register for CIMA, or I want to apply for exemptions. We are spending at the moment a lot of time familiarizing ourselves with a new website and with the new CIMA system and the new processes. I would like to say we're at that point again where I want to say that we maybe know more about the CIMA website and the processes than they do themselves. They ask us, just tell me how to do this again. Okay, so I think what I want to do next is look at ways to study for your CGMA with IBTC. Whether you're doing the PQ route or the FLP route, we've got exam prep for you for both of those routes. So I want to start with looking at the PQ route first. With IBTC, you have the option of attending classes. You can do an online course, or you can do supported home study with us. So home study, we call it Home Study Plus. Our second semester classes, it's virtual classes. They're starting now in June, beginning July. So now is actually a good time to sign up for 1 or 2 virtual classes. A virtual class will be exactly what we're doing now on Zoom with Pilisa. We have for our online courses, we have an online course starting every month for every subject. So you get your study material sent to you via courier, because we know you like to underline and highlight. And then you get access to the online to an online portal. There you find the study material, you find video lectures, and you find tests, but you also find a schedule. So you're on a schedule. There's a fixed start date, there's a cohort of classmates, and there's a tutor who's responsible for the pass rate of that cohort. And you have to follow a fast-paced schedule. So every Sunday, this is what you must submit. Next week, study this, Sunday, submit that. But you'll be exam ready in 8 to 10 weeks, guaranteed. You just follow the steps. And if you fail, then you can come back for free. And that's our pass assured promise. We also have the pass assured promise actually on our virtual classes and our Home Study Plus. Just follow the formula. We know how to get people to pass. If you don't pass, in an unlikely event that you don't pass first time, you can come back for free. In our Home Study Plus package, I really like that we deliver the books and other supporting material, exam kits and stuff to you. And then we assign a home study support person to look after you and track your progress. So we phone you regularly, we see how you're doing. The kicker is with Home Study Plus is that we also give you access to the online recorded lectures that we use in our classes. So it's like being in class, but you're in your pajamas. Okay. What I forgot to mention, let me just see. Oh, you can see everybody in online course, Home Study Plus or virtual classes gets access, just grab my annotator, gets access to these BPP video lectures. So here you're in class, but you can still access the video of the class, which BPP does in London, in which they get that remarkable pass rate. You can go watch those videos. 100% syllabus coverage. Online, you can watch those videos. PPP, home study, you can watch those videos. So other cool things you need to know. These pre-recorded lectures are recordings of the UK's best lecturers, they select the lecturers with the consistently highest pass rates. The recordings which I've highlighted cover 100% of the syllabus. And there's also on top of that, small short revision recordings for those 2 weeks before the exam. If you attend a virtual class, you'll be in class once a week with your lecturer for 10 to 12 weeks. But apart from attending those classes, you can then also watch the UK lectures on the same topic. So I always say that's like 2 classes for the price of 1. So for Home Study Plus, we used to just send our home study students the books and a study plan and give them a tutor and an assistant. But then we thought, heck, we have video lectures of all the classes. Why don't we just include that in our home study package? Now all students get the benefit of video lectures, and this is now called Home Study Plus. I hope this clarifies how the different PQ courses work. Hey, Pilisa, you know this is our study method.
Yes, it does.
You do
It
this
does,
one.
Nikki. Yeah, it's actually a nice way of explaining it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's look at how to plan your studies if you're studying the PQ route. In this example, let me just grab my annotator again. In this example, you are studying E1, but it could also be BA1 or B2 or F3, and you're attending virtual classes. In this example, you're attending virtual classes on a Saturday. We always say never walk into a class cold, which means this session you will do pre-reading. You will just page through the material. You don't have to pick up a pencil even or try to remember anything to see what's going to happen in that class on Saturday. And then after that class, you then consolidate, do mind maps, and start studying that content. Then you prep for that class again. Pilisa just wants everybody to prep for their classes, because when you're in that class, you can take more out of it. So you come to class per subject once a week, and you have 2 or 3 study sessions at home. If you want to pick up another subject, in this example, the student has picked up P1, and this is a bit of it's not harder for some, it's easier for some, but it's a fatter subject. The book is just literally fatter. Then you add another 2-hour session maybe on a Sunday. So here you prep, you come to class, you consolidate in the study, you consolidate in the study. So you follow the same pattern. So I wanted to show you this is because some students who's just finished a degree, maybe they think, I can do 3 subjects at a time, and we call that the rookie mistake. So I want to show you where are you going to work full time and then fit in another subject. I'm not saying it can't be done, but many students, if some stop working and then they do more subjects at a time, they go through it faster. But if you have a working life, 2 is better. But I'm not saying it can't be done. Many students have successfully studied 3 subjects at once. It's just knowing what you're in for and being able to then make that commitment, I think.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
If we're going to look at how you'll prepare for your case study exam,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you, as we shared earlier, it doesn't matter whether you've come through the PQ route, which is a traditional route, or the FLP route. Both routes comes to the same case study exam. So my best advice is always to try and attend the case study exam prep classes. We have an almost 100% pass rate, and we only need 4 days to get you to basically be exam ready. And here's how we do it. We recommend 100 hours to prepare for the case study exam. This is obviously, of course, dependent on how familiar you are with the E, the P, and the F subjects. The most important thing to know is that the case study exam draws heavily on your E, your P, and the F knowledge.
But say you've completed your EP and F exam in the last 12 to 18 months. The information is still quite fresh and it will come back to you quickly. Then in that case, you'll typically need to do 100 hours, as Pilisa said. Let me just clear this. Hang on. So what I'm just going to show you here, what you'll do in week 1 and in week 2, you'll want to revise your EP and F content. Hey, Pilisa? And then I think also, if you've done that revision, also just look at your case study, just a little bit of prep, go through the actual case study. We call it the pre-scene. It is the document that is what the company is going to be about. It's the business case. You read through the pre-scene in quite a bit of detail in preparation for your first class. So then in week 3, I think, and this week, you come to class.
Yeah.
These are your 2 classes. In that class, we go through the case study or that business case in detail, line by line, and we say, does this remind you of Mintzberg? Does this remind you of SWOT? Does this remind you of Mendelow's matrix? We go through it. Then when that class is finished, there's so much I don't know. Break it down in this first class, and then you go and study and you catch up on all these things we've now highlighted, which we think could be from the case study analysis, which could be relevant in your exam. Then you come back to your second class, we build you right up, and then you're exam ready. I think this is a little bit wrong. This is your class here. And here you do another session where you would just Oh, I see also this is 2.5 hours. Sorry, just ignore this. Okay, these are, ignore this. Okay, starting over. How to prep for case study, 100 hours. We need 4 weeks to prepare you. This is Saturday, Sunday, and this is a Saturday, Sunday. So these are the Saturday, Sunday, the days we prepare you for your case study. What you need to do before is do EP and F to prep. When you come to Pilisa or Nikki Brower's case study, or Muzi's case study exam prep classes, the legendary, we usually get 100% pass rate. You cannot come to that class if you don't have solid EP and F knowledge. That's all I ask of you. Then you come to that class, then it's all on us. We take you through that class 1, case study analysis, prep. Then you go home over here and you do your own studying and catch up. You come back to class, we show you how to frame your answer. The lovely what the CIMA president did his CIMA studies with us, and he said I was a little bit frozen in the exam, and then in my mind's eye I could see the formula that the lecturer wrote on the board, and it all came back to me, and I knew that formula, how to structure my answer. So after this, you then spend that last session on just preparing for your exam, and then you are exam ready in 100 hours. Okay, let me just see if that made any sense. Okay, so next we're going to look at some study options if you want to do the FLP route. So as I said, with FLP, you don't have the option of attending classes or doing an online course or doing Home Study Plus. To do the FLP route, where you only have to do 3 exams to qualify, you have to study on the CIMA FLP platform. You have to buy it from an accredited tuition provider like IBTC. On this platform, all the study material for all the levels is on the platform. All the prep material for all the case studies also on the platform. You simply have to buy a subscription and work through the competency questions as quickly as possible to unlock the next case study. If you work really fast and you pass your case study exam first time, you can work through all the levels in as little as a year. Okay, so having said that, most of our students buy 2-year packages. Okay, so what IBTC offers, we offer a standard package and a premium package. The big difference between these packages is that here we've thrown in case study exam prep classes. These classes that are on Saturday, Sunday that I just told you about, you get 6 opportunities to attend these classes, and there are 2 per level. Otherwise, what you get is access to the platform. Yeah, you get registration and subscription fee. It includes your registration and subscription fee.
Yes, what help do you need?
Hey, who's talking? Oh my head, I'm get such a fright. You can, with both, you can start at any time. For both, you can buy a 1, 2, or 3-year subscription. As I said, most people buy a 2-year subscription. All the material is on both of them. All the case study materials on both of them. For both of them, you can get the access and help of an IBTC tutor. And on both of them, you get 6 exam tokens, 2 per level. Okay, so you can try your ops case study twice, man case study twice, strat case study twice. So then we created a premium package, which is our flagship and what most people get, 2-year premium, what most people get. Here we threw in, we thought, well, if CIMA can throw in 6 exam tokens, we're going to throw in 6 case study classes. Okay, so let's see if I can move on. Okay, oh wait, just a word of warning. I recently saw another college selling FLP and boasting that it includes EP and F classes. So I really thought about it. Sure, why is that a good thing? Why don't we have the EP and F classes? We give you the case study classes. And I actually think it's a nice idea, but I do need to warn you against it. You don't need it. You don't need extra classes or extra books. You just go onto the FLP platform, read what's there, do your question, read what's there, do your question, read what's there, do your question. To go and sit in a class actually wastes time. So beware of packages that include extra stuff and claim that it's going to help you. They'll charge you extra, but it's not really needed. Having said that, beware of colleges who add extra stuff. We've added these extra classes, but we really thought about how to get you to pass in the easiest way, in the quickest way. And you need those case study classes, but you don't need to go and study anything anywhere else. Okay, so how to plan for your FLP studies? Let me just see. Okay, I want to show you this. You are here now in May-ish. Okay, I'm also going to say, to try and explain a 2-year subscription to show you how many levels you can fit in. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to say you started ops level or you started certificate level, then you'll do, if you start certificate level, you'll do the BA 1, 2, 3, 4 reading and assessment. But in this example, you'll do EP and F. So you'll do EP and F, and you'll, because CIMA says it will take you 75 hours per subject, study hours per subject, you will mostly be ready. You can aim for a November or a February case study. Okay, so that was, say that was EPF1, then you wrote your occupational case, operational case study here. Then you, straight after, you don't have to wait for your results, which is the nice thing with FLP. You can just straight after the next day start hitting the books and do your EP and F2. EP and F2. If you're really fast, you can do the May exam, but you will probably either do the August or the November exam. Once you've written the exam, you can quickly hit the books, and you might not make it up to a strategic case study exam. Let's say case study exam. Oh, this is what I want to do. In this example, say you wrote your management case study exam here and you failed. Shame. Then you come back and you can still sit February before your 1 year expires. Okay. You still sit your February case study. If you have a 2-year, you can see that you now have enough time to study EPF3 and write a case study maybe in May, and you still have time to spare. Okay, I hope this makes sense. I can explain it a little bit better, or if you call in, we can have a discussion about it. It is important to know that there are better times to start than other times. So say you start over here, you've now signed up for FLP here, you've activated your subscription, and your subscription runs for a year. You get to here, you're studying your EP and F, you say, oh, but I want to write the May case study, but it's just out of reach because the May case study happens after your subscription has expired. Okay, we'll tell you when are really good times to start. And it happens to be that it's straight after a case study. So June is a great time, June, July, or September, or December, great times to start your FLP subscription. Okay, Pilisa.
Yes. Okay.
How are we going to pay for this FLP? How are we going to pay for our studies?
So basically, we've got 2 options for you. I think for your PQ studies, you can use our payment plan, which is interest-free. You pay a small deposit and the rest you put onto a debit order form over a 4-month period. For the FLP program, you can make arrangements with our loan partner, Capitec Education Finance. You can pay over a longer period, which reduces the monthly installments. It's an easy desktop application with a quick turnaround time. PQ students, or what we call the traditional route students, can apply for a loan with Capitec Education Finance, an IBTC payment, if an IBTC payment plan doesn't work for you. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so this is quite interesting that we have this Capitec Education Finance access. It makes it possible for you to pay off over a longer time with lower repayments. Okay, so we also have, as I mentioned, an open day experience. So that means I always thought, what will people do after the open day? And do they have to sit through that whole presentation of mine, me and Pilisa's, to try and find the section that you're looking for? So what we've done, we've split up that we record this and we split it up into sections, and we say, this is the section that just deals with exemptions. This is the section that just deals with why study CIMA, the salaries, if you wanted to show someone how much I'm going to earn. And there's a section just on the exemptions. So we split it up. Then there's also additional videos, amazing video about top management case study lecturer Muzi, who tells you how to win at case study. Then we've done some demos to show you what the IBTC online courses portal looks like. You can see, if I study online, what does it look like? Go and watch that video. So I believe somebody's going to put this in the link, this link in the chat just now. And we will also email it to you, I believe, together with the link to this video. Okay, so we have reached the end of our presentation. Now that you know how to, if you want to do CIMA, if you're still not sure, please chat to us. We won't convince you. We're very ethical. We want to help you decide if this is the best one for you. If you want to study CIMA, how to plan your studies, you know what to do to pass. The next step, and you know how, well, you won't on Monday, you'll know how to